welcome once again. I hope some of you have been enjoying the joint rotation warm-up, but some people have difficulty doing the standing joint rotations, so I thought I would prepare a tutorial on how to do the seated rotations and then have a short practice. So some of the preparations that I typically do in my classes for seated warm-up is just to make sure you're seated comfortably, that you're nice and upright. So you can rock around on your sitting bones a little bit. In the standing position, we're balancing between the feet. In the sitting position, we want to balance between the two sitting bones. We don't want to hike everything over to one hip and then hike everything to the other hip. We also need to be able to rock somewhere in between. If you're too far back on your sitting bones, it'll tend to round your back. And if you're sitting too far forward, you'll tend to arch your back. So you have to feel a little bit of motion in the pelvis so that perhaps there's a bit more tone in your abdomen. And then from that position, you can practice just warming up the hips a little bit by picking them up. So some people are able to easily get one foot to cross on top of the other knee. Maybe they have a little difficulty on the other side. If you're close, you could catch the pant leg and give yourself a little bit of a boost. But if you find that holding the leg up or pulling it in is too much for your hip, or if it bothers your knee, all you really need to do is just stretch your foot out. You make sure that the foot is off the floor. And then you just start circling your foot around. You're trying to feel if it's smooth, if it's even. You notice any crunchiness, any differences in how your foot travels in a circle. And just like with the regular joint rotations, you start with about 8 circles in each direction on both legs. But if you're very debilitated, or if one foot, one ankle is a bit more painful than the other, do the best you can. And if you don't have a lot of range of motion, you just make the circles you can. And you have the option at all times, if you have one side that's restricted, you can do more on the other side, but you divide it up. So for example, if the left ankle was more restricted, start with the left ankle, repeat with the right ankle, and then go back to the left ankle, and you can do it again. So that way you're giving one side a rest while the other side is working. And then when you're ready, you come to that nice seated position, and you can start with the head of the neck. So not everybody has full range of motion in their neck to be able to look up and down or turn side to side or to make circles. So you can start with what you have if you're very tight in the neck. Just like before, you're looking for the range that is comfortable. And it might be a possibility that maybe you can turn more one way than the other, and that's fine. You're looking for pain-free, smooth. You want to make sure that you're breathing in a way that is supporting your practice, and you're not being distracted by pain, which will distract you from your breathing. So the head circles, you can just start with making little tiny circles with your nose. So you're moving the head just in a small, smooth circle, first one way and then the other way. If this is more comfortable than nodding the head up or down or turning it, you can start with this. Because the idea, the basic idea, is to keep the neck bone still, and you're rotating the skull where it meets that very top neck bone, commonly referred to C1, the first cervical vertebrae, cervical referring to the bones in your neck. And then when you're finished the head and the neck, you can scoot towards the edge of the chair, as long as your chair is solid. Drop the arm bones down so they hang, and you turn those upper arm bones so the shoulder blades are flatter against your back. This can help you sit up a little taller as well. And you just start making small circles that are smooth and round, first one way and then the other way. And sometimes in a chair yoga class, I might take this to a little bit of rotations before I go to the wrist. You can slide one hand out over the knee as the other hand slides back to the hip, and then you slide the hand to the other knee as the first hand slides to the hip. So this may not seem like very much, but viewed from the side, you can see that one shoulder comes forward as the hand comes forward, and one shoulder comes back as that hand comes back. So maybe this is enough, and it's easy, and you can start linking your breath. The inhalation, you're passing your hands. The exhalation, you complete. Inhale, slide the hands past, and exhale, complete. And you can, if you wish, add some rotation of the arm and the shoulder. So as you might inhale, as you lift the arm up, I like to turn the palm up because this is that same rotation of the arm to get the shoulder blade in a good place. And you can follow with your eyes all the way back as far as you're comfortable, and perhaps you do a few rounds this way. I like to inhale up and then exhale, bring the arm down, and then I'd inhale up doing the other side, exhaling the arms down. You also have the opportunity, if you wish, to go the opposite way, same as you do with just the shoulder circles. You can mix and match, you can alternate the arms and the legs, and that way you have a practice that is going to be optimized for how you feel that day. You can also bring opposite hand to knee. You turn the arm over so the back of the hand slides behind your back, and you can look over your shoulder. And then you would inhale to change the hands, and you exhale and turn the other way. So you get a different kind of twist, but in some senses similar to in the standing position where we're just turning and we're trying to make this very easy. But if standing isn't possible for you, you just cross the arm, slide the hand behind the back, turn the head if you wish, because this will help you turn a little farther, but you don't have to go far. And if turning the head bothers you, just keep the head forward, and you can let the arms slide around behind the back. I like to use the image of that back hand sliding around into the opposing hip pocket. If you had jeans where you have pockets in the back. If you have actual jeans, you could actually put your hands in your opposite hip pocket if you wish, but remember not to strain. And then instead of being able to do hip circles because your hips are fixed, see if you can just sway your body around in a circle. The original way that it was given to me was that the arms kind of stack, but this might be a bit much for your arms. So you can have the hands on your knees, and as the body goes forward, you're rocking forward on the sitting bones, you're rocking over one sitting bone, you're rocking back behind the sitting bones, and then over to the opposite sitting bone. So looking in the chair, you can kind of see that I'm getting a little bit of that roundedness, I'm getting a little bit of rocking, but I'm being able to lubricate my waist, basically, is an image that I like to use. And you just go one way, and then you go the other way. So because the joint rotation series, it's not like the yoga police are gonna come and give you a ticket if you go out of the order that's given. If you're remembering these things, you just do what you can. So the standing wrists was basically going up and over and down and around, and then you reverse the direction. But you also have opportunities to do other things, such as squeeze the fist and stretch the fingers. You squeeze and you stretch, and it's increasing the strength of your hands in gripping. You're stretching, you're increasing the strength of the fingers to extend. You could bend the wrist up and down, first palms down, and then perhaps palms up. You could make circles with your hands like you're a dancer. We used to do this in flamenco class. We could curl the fingers as we turn the wrist. So in many arthritis exercise classes, you might have touching the fingertips together, one hand at a time, or both together. In yoga, we also have mudra gestures. The hasta mudras are hand, hasta meaning hand, and the mudra meaning energy seal. The tips of the fingers, when they touch, represent where energy goes in the body. And if you slide, say, your thumb down each knuckle on each finger, this would represent when you take a meditation class from someone who's teaching you Hasta Mudra meditations, the moving deeper into your meditative awareness. And you can use this just to help strengthen your fingers. And once you've moved the thumb all the way through to the base of the hand, you can take each finger and trace down the knuckles of the thumb. You may find some fingers have a harder time than other fingers, but the effort is strengthening those little muscles in your fingers that maybe you weren't aware you had, which is just fine. So I'm hoping that you find this tutorial helpful, and then the next video I'm just going to go through. I'll try and cue it. It may not be exactly the same order as what the tutorial is, but remember, it's not important what order it is. I just have it organized in certain ways that I might mess with according to the people that I'm teaching. So I'm hoping you find this helpful. Do feel free to message me if you have any questions, or if there's any issues that you face that you want me to address in a future video, or if you want me to message you back with how you can optimize this for your situation. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Being from Baltimore, namaste, hon.